my end too, but I'd rather do that than take notes. Do you mind just sending me the audio afterwards?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Yeah, so like a bunch of people lately, I guess, I watched this meeting that you were a part of, and I was kind of confused for, for many stretches of it. But there seemed to be something about like you had a friend over and their kid was briefly on your lap, and this seemed to like throw other people in the meeting into like a spiral of quoting Robin DiAngelo and getting very upset.
Yeah, sure. Actually, give me one moment. Let me just turn off my air conditioner.
Yeah.
It's kind of loud. Sorry. Yeah, so yeah, I was following. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
So tell me, like, just tell me the story from the beginning. Like, go back to the previous meeting. Like, what happened?
I guess to start off, so our council is 9 elected members, 2 borough appointees. We cover a district from 96th Street all the way down to Wall Street up to Hell's Kitchen, with a small carve out for the Lower East Side. As many students in our district go to the entire San Francisco city school system, so it's quite large.
Yeah.
And, one of the big issues recently that's come up are screen schools. Screen schools are basically kids in elementary school apply to middle schools if they want, and all kids in middle school apply to high schools. So our district has a combination of zone schools and screen schools. The screen schools base their decisions based on grades, which includes academic grades and behavioral grades. They base it on test scores, which are the New York State administered ELA, which is English Language Arts and mathematics exams, and absences and latenesses. And it is a feeling of a minority of the board that all screens should be removed because they believe that they're racist. It's also their belief that gifted and talented programs are racist, so they're trying to get rid of those too. During the prior meeting, one of the resolutions that 4 of the members put together was to remove all screens for schools. So it'd basically be a lottery. Now, my position on that is we have 33 students in a class and 1 teacher. And in order for a teacher to have any dialogue between the students, they need to be on a similar level. Otherwise, they'll have to individually teach each student, and they'll get, less than 4 days of, FaceTime with the teacher, which is not good for education, in my opinion. And I also, by the way, stand for improving some of the screening metrics. Mm-hmm. I'm for eliminating absences and latenesses from the screening. I'm for using things like rank instead of grades, since grades vary. I'm for keeping the test scores because that's the only metric we have, or diagnostic material, to know that all these students were sitting in the same classroom at the same time with the same questions, and were given an opportunity to answer the question, and just to place them in the right classrooms. So they learn the most, be it whether they're below the average student or above the average student, just a better education for them.
Yeah.
But these 4 parents decided to put forth a measure that would just eliminate all screens. I thought that was bad for education, so I started off the meeting I had a whiteboard behind me, actually a wall that I painted with dry erase for this purpose. And I wrote on it, which was factually correct, that all co-sponsors of that resolution send their kids to screen schools, mm-hmm. to screen middle schools. Now, I don't. My daughter will be attending a zone middle school, which does not use screens.
Yeah.
So what they were doing was trying to tell other parents that they can't make decisions for themselves, which they actually made themselves, right, to send them to these schools. And I didn't like that. So that's why I wrote a factual statement on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
So the meeting started off with them, throwing their hands up saying, how could you do this? And point out a factually correct statement about their own behavior and how it deviates from what they're saying. The meeting went on, it was a 4-hour meeting. My friend happened to be over, as she comes over, often. I go over her place often. My friend asked if she could come over that evening, and I said, of course. Her daughter is best friends with my daughter. We've been friends for 5 years. On that evening, she asked if she could bring over her nephew. I said, of course. She said, well, he's 1 year old. Do you mind if he comes over still? He's a bit of a handful. And I said, yeah, I love kids, of course. So they came over, her nephew's running around. He's learning how to walk. At times, he's like asking me to hold him. At times, my friend Maisha wanted, to go to the store or, grab juice, something like that. So she handed him to me. And of course, it's a 4-hour meeting. He'd sit on my lap. Yeah. I thought nothing of it. So, there were points in the meeting where we were talking about the screen schools, and they were telling me that I don't understand integration, that I don't know what it feels like, and that I'm, supporting white supremacy, stuff like that, by having screened admissions. And I, retorted, and this was not a joke, this was factually correct, that my living room is integrated right now. And I laughed at the absurdity of these people from their, $2 million Manhattan condos, not going outside, not visiting friends in the South Bronx like I do, telling me that I don't understand, the screened admission process. And it's just absurd. Yeah. So that's how it started.
Yeah. And so this wasn't like a comment that you planned to make to illustrate a point. It was just that like this moment happened and the kid happened to be on your lap and it just struck you and you're like, come on, this is absurd. Like, look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. I asked them to define integration on the follow-up. The majority of my household at the time was Black. There were three, our friends, three of our friends were Black, myself and my daughter. My daughter is also Chamorro, which is native indigenous people of the Mariana Islands, from Guam. Her mom was born in Guam. Mm-hmm. So, I guess you would say I was this single white person in the room, and I was being told by these, extremely white households that I didn't understand what integration was. Right. And it was very annoying, but falls in line with their beliefs constantly, how to tell other people how to feel. And if I don't think like them, if I don't read their books, I'll never understand.
Yeah. How long have you been on the board?
I was elected for a term that began July 1st, 2019. It extends until June 30th, 2021. And I won't be resigning, as was demanded by several white parents.
And is this like, apart from this particular debate, is this kind of ideology like a sticking point again and again, or is it basically just? Yeah, go ahead.
It is just because it resonates in all education policy. The mayor appointed Richard Carranza, and he came in, and one of the first things that he wanted to do was eliminate the specialized high school admissions test. We have, 8 very highly regarded high schools in New York City. They're in U.S. News top 100 consistently for high schools. Of those 8, 3 are required by state statute to use a competitive, objective, scholastic achievement test as a sole criteria for admission. 5 others don't have to do that by statute, but they do anyway. And it's been the goal of the chancellor and the mayor to eliminate those that screening mechanism, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
from when they got in, because it produced disproportionate results as far as racial demographics. Now, it's mostly Asian, and Asian Americans are the poorest demographic in New York City.
Yeah.
So it has not much to do with money, but it has to do with political outcome. And again, with the cognitive dissonance of these things, the mayor's son, of course, went to a specialized high school. His daughter went to a very white selective school, the same school as the one board member, Robin Broshi, who basically showed herself for who she actually was during the video. One of the most selective white schools in the city. The chancellor, of course, well, his daughter went to school in San Francisco at the time, the most elite public school in San Francisco. It's basically their Stuyvesant, Lowell High School.
Yeah.
But now that their children are out and at Yale or wherever they are, it's time for things to change because they're not affected. It's time to use, take away things from Asian immigrants who've worked hard, who've come here just to be treated as equals. It's time that they give things up because it'll make them feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously I'm not nearly as familiar with you as about New York City schools. I tend on these issues, which I have covered before in other places, to agree with your perspective that there isn't, necessarily anything wrong with trying to have the best test that you can get to influence where different kids end up. What struck me about the meeting, though, was that that debate wasn't happening in the meeting. Like it would be one thing if you were laying out your perspective and they were saying, no, we think that we should go a different direction, or even no, we think that the policy of screen schools is racist. Like I would disagree with that, but I would be able to follow the debate and the conversation about
right.
It's going to affect all these schools. What I'm still trying to figure out is what caused them to instead try to police this small behavior that happened, right? And I still don't entirely understand their logic when they say that it was racist for you to have the kid on your lap. But even if it had been, right, still, why would they spend, dozens of minutes on that? Do you have any insight into, it seems like they felt an impetus to, I guess in the kind of modern parlance, police what they thought was a microaggression and call it out or something?
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, I really think that all of this, and it continuously happens, and you'll notice that if you watch the clips, I'll speak for a minute, and then they'll go on for 10 minutes, over and over again babbling. It's because they don't really have much substance to their argument. It's all filled with anecdotal evidence. My friends told me this. 10 parents said this, so it must be true. Yeah. There's no real substance to it. And once you start asking them direct questions, they'll do anything they can to distract from answering direct questions. And that just says all you need to know about their arguments. They're just unfounded.
Have you read any of the books that they were tossing out, the D'Angelo?
No, not D'Angelo. I did start one of the Ibrahim Kendi books. To be honest, it was the audiobook. Listened to it while I was taking mass transportation to work. I mean, it's a book put out by somebody to make money. It's apparently very effective because, these people, keep on asking other people to read it. So, I do appreciate his capitalism in this aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I don't know about D'Angelo, she's a corporate consultant. That book is terrible.
I didn't read it. Yeah. I probably won't. I apologize. I'll sit down with D'Angelo, but I'm not going to pay for the book.
Yeah, they're like, even just reading reviews of it, and I have read it, but the New Yorker did a great review about it that kind of got at at some of its problems. And Kendi means it. Like, I don't think that he's misrepresenting his beliefs.
Yeah.
But that book puts forth this idea that basically everything can be slotted into one of two categories: racist or anti-racist. And it's a very Manichaean like way to approach the world. They seem to have putting a baby on your lap on the wrong side of that divide.
Yeah.
I wonder if in past meetings, though, are there other small things that have come up, like whether it was you that said them or someone else, where they jump on it and it's not the thing that you're arguing about for the schools, but it's like just other personal behavior or a word that someone uses that they don't like, or like, is that a common feature of meetings?
Yeah, I mean, so I think he set it up well with the dichotomy between anti-racism and everything else. I guess there are two types of people in this world, right? Those that believe in false dichotomies and those that don't. But yeah. So everything falls into, and this is the way it goes. If you believe what they say and believe in the policy that they recommend, then you are an anti-racist because they're anti-racist. But if you deviate even marginally from the policy that they believe is right, there's a tinge of racism to it. It's racist. They can't tell you why if you ask them directly, because you didn't read the book.
Right.
Or one of the books, I guess.
But so this move to like move to the terrain of whether it's racist or not seems to short circuit the debate about the policy itself. Like, at least in the meeting I saw, that didn't happen at all.
Yeah, I mean, about the outcomes of policy and how it would affect children, which is why I joined the council to improve the lives of children, to get all children a better education. And if you want to go down to, I mean, during the initial meeting, my position was that I do believe in school integration. And why would you start in middle school and high school when there's already a huge achievement gap?
Right.
Why wouldn't you start in elementary school? And nobody wanted to talk about that. They just said, no, this is the way it goes. This is the way it has to be. We have to start somewhere, so we're going to start at the institutions that get the most attention. And I mean, these are the specialized high schools, for instance, are a very small population of the city overall. So you eliminate the 8 best schools in New York City, and that's conquered 1% of the student population. So they're not doing it to actually improve schools. They're doing it for their own political benefit. They're doing it so they're on the first float of the parade that goes down Fifth Avenue, and they're hoping for people to wave at them and to get a free espresso martini at the cocktail reception at the rooftop bar afterwards.
Did you, when you, I'm sorry, it's an elected position or appointed?
It's elected. We are elected by school PTAs, one of the presidents, one of the recording secretaries, and one of the treasurers. They each get a vote, and we're elected by that. Now, that's being changed for the next election. I think it's going to parents at large.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 9 of us are elected. 2 of us are borough appointees. One of the borough appointees was Shino Tanakawa, who no longer even has students as of June 26th in the system at all. So
when you decided to run, was it based on any particular issue or just a kind of a broad, I want to be involved?
Well, I mean, I had been involved in my daughter's PTA at her public school. And I had been there for 5 years, and I'd been very active. I would go to every single meeting. I ran a campaign to try and get a rooftop put up on my daughter's school so that kids could play outside without playing in the middle of the street, which is what they were doing in the middle of Manhattan.
Yeah.
which I found to be dangerous. So, parents took notice that I cared and encouraged me to run.
Yeah.
They said they had never had a CEC member from the school. It's PS 290 on 82nd between 1st and 2nd Avenues. So I accepted. I said, I'll give it a shot. I'll run. I didn't campaign or anything like that. Some parents reached out to other parents on my behalf, and I got elected. And I went to meetings, and this is how it wound up, which is upsetting and disconcerting.
Yeah. And like, have you gotten a lot of feedback from this? I mean, I'm sure people are angry on both sides, I know.
Yeah.
And I know that can be writing for the public, but what's it been like for you?
So for me, it's been overwhelmingly, it's been supportive. And it's odd for me because it's support from people I probably wouldn't have always agreed with on other issues.
Yeah.
But I'm not the type of person that everything has to be polarized the way they are. I think that we can all find issues that we agree on and try and make things better without having to agree on everything.
Yeah.
So, the support has been, I've been very happy with it. We'll put it that way. And there are, of course, some comments that are, just, I'm a racist. And, as a parent in the community, although I am white, I know how people of color feel, and you are hurting them. I can tell you this as a white woman in my 40s. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I've been getting.
Yeah. What grade is your daughter in?
She's will be in 6th grade.
Okay, cool. And let's see here. What about the superintendent spoke at the end, right? That was the superintendent at the end of that meeting?
Of K through 8, yeah, Donalda Chumney. She's great. She really cares about children.
Yeah. And so and then can you explain to me, like, the power that your body has, or the influence that it has, or situate that in the bureaucracy, which is kind of confusing?
Absolutely. We have pretty much zero power. Okay, we're basically put there as a sounding block for parents so that the New York City Department of Education can pretend like they care what parents think. They don't listen to us. All of our resolutions are non-binding. We have a small bit of influence over zoning. During my tenure, that has never bin used because there hasn't been any zoning changes. But in effect, all of our resolutions are meaningless. There is nothing binding about any of our meetings.
So it's so insofar as it does serve a function, it's maybe you can have a little bit of influence, and maybe you can kind of air things that you hear. Yeah,
pretty much. It's what I like to think of it as the first level of customer service that corporations have. Yeah. We're the block in between the people who are paying for things, the people who are, needing things, and the people who can actually change things. So we're just there so they can do whatever they want and not have to listen to these people, pretty much.
Right. Huh. Well, so why spend your time doing it then though?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't so jaded until I worked through them.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, if, parents do want to, voice their concerns and I can try and shoot it up the channel, I thought it would be a good idea. But I mean, the problem is nobody's listening from the chancellor and his, deputy chancellor. It's all top down. It's not bottom up.
Yeah. It's just like I started out as a newspaper reporter and covered, God knows how many city council and planning commission meetings. I've certainly seen meetings kind of descend into infighting before. It was generally, though, like, even if the argument wasn't about the issue itself, there was some like underlying thing that the body had the power to change, and that was creating the the animus.
Yeah.
I'm just watching. I guess I'm watching what's the woman's name? Robin, who is
Robin Broshi.
Robin Broshi.
Yeah.
I'm watching the kinds of ideas that she was articulating as they appear in different institutions all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
And hers was like a particularly vivid, I guess, explication of them, and kind of, faintly absurd, with the addition of like the fulcrum being like a child on a lap, the most innocent thing you can think of, and her like treating it like the second coming of Hitler or something, right?
Well, I disagree with the faintly adjective on that. Or
Okay.
it was fully absurd, but yeah.
Did your friend like did this just go like completely over the head of your friend, who was just like there not watching the meeting, or is she like
she's enraged. She's actually coming over today. We're gonna put together a video so she can explain to them how she feels instead of them explaining to her how she feels.
Oh, so you're gonna like post it to YouTube or something?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Would you shoot me a link to that when it goes up? Because I'd love to hear her perspective, and I think that's good that she's gonna speak for herself rather than relying on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna speak for her. She can speak for herself. She's a grown woman. She's a great person. She's a great friend, and maybe people should listen to her instead of speaking for her.
Yeah. When is the next meeting?
It's tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. If you go to www.ccd2.net, it has a link to the Zoom meeting. It has a link to public sessions. We have 2 public sessions in which any member of the public can speak for 2 minutes. I've encouraged people to sign up to speak. Yeah, I mean, I look forward to the public comments.
Yeah. And is that 4-hour meeting online as well?
Yeah, it should be. If you go to my Twitter feed, somebody sent it to me, so I posted it. Okay. It's 4 hours. If you have the time and you have a lot of popcorn, it's it's at I'll send it to you. It's at TWROCKLAGE.
Yeah.
That's my Twitter handle.
Only in a pandemic would I have 4 hours to watch it. But
yeah, I know, right? I've been going out and doing things. I've tested this for my 4th time yesterday, negative with everything. Antibody test, no antibodies. I just came back from Florida. Nope, nobody stopped me at the airport. I don't know what to tell you.
There you go. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk. And
sure.
Yeah, would you shoot me the audio of this?
Yeah, I have to figure out how to do it. I know I'm recording it, but it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, audio or video or whatever is easy. Either is fine.
Okay. Yeah, cool. I'll shoot it the same email address that I sent the invitation to.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, and yeah, good luck with everything. I hope the masses, or not the masses, but the angry few stop attacking you.
I say bring it on, but yeah.
Okay. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Thanks.